won't stop till we repeal Obamacare. And what's that? What you really want is Medicare for all, like most other civilized nations in the world? Aw, sweetheart, you know there's no money for that. But hey, here are some things we do have money for. Trump's visits to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's golf games, big boat that shoots million-dollar missiles, more of these useless pieces of shit, maintaining the American empire, and of course $3.2 trillion for the most expensive crappy healthcare in the world, when Medicare for all would cost only half that much. Wealth care. Who needs healthcare anyway when you have Jesus? Authorized by the Department of Wealth and Inhumane Services.
Okay, I'm seeing it come up now.
Yeah, welcome guys to the 24-hour awareness live stream. Wow, I struggled. I'm already struggling with just starting. How are we doing, guys? Boomer, everything good?
Well, I've noticed you're just attempting to stretch out there in the first sentence. Nice effort there. I'll try to talk very slowly and hopefully we'll stretch through this. 24 hours. Wow, count them. Okay. Kind of a serious one tonight too, isn't it? But we're going to try and make it fun as well. Yeah, so we've just seen by our wonderful US healthcare, and a lot of other countries have got slightly better healthcare, but it's still not up to scratch. And one of the elements is what we're covering tonight. So I'm going to be asking the layman, dumbass, naive questions, and you're going to be hopefully fielding them with the assistance of a couple of other people. So that's about me for now, I think, my friend. So let's get it rolling.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't gonna dive into this straight away. I was kind of thinking maybe start with a little bit of banter. Did you hear something? Did you hear some interesting news lately? Perhaps.
Well, I'm celebrating No Pants Day, but then I think I celebrate No Pants Day every day. And unfortunately, when you get to my age, No Pants Day is a kind of a Michelson-Morley experiment by itself. So it's rather convenient we're on a 24-hour stream, because the old testicle swung around the chair with gravity attracting gravity or mass attracting mass, and I'm stuck on this chair for some time. So we've timed the 24-hour really well. So No Pants Day has been a bit of a winner for me, but then every day is No Pants Day. So
yeah, well, actually,
I don't know what news are we covering.
Actually, it was No Pants Day yesterday.
Oh,
yes.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
What about the baby?
You could almost say that we planned this, right? And Comet Artists also celebrated No Pants Day, and as you can see here from this Charlie Brown little expert.
Hang on. I've got a bit of an issue. So if we celebrate No Pants Day, I've got to be devil's advocate here. When do we celebrate Pants Day, just for the record?
Never.
You kidding?
No.
So every day is No Pants Day?
Yes.
Well, again, that's lucky. Okay. God, we're on a winner already. I'm loving this, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm full background noise.
No, and
what have you found?
I actually found something else interesting. This is actually a bit of a winner from medical science, maybe a little bit, but also just kind of cool.
Yeah.
A woman in Milan, a Millennium woman, gives birth to 9 babies, and even though that's technically not the first time that it happened, this is the first time that they were that all 9 of them were perfectly healthy. Be it born premature, but you know that's not a huge problem these days anymore. And well, they have to, of course, be in incubators for the next few months, for the next 2 or 3 months. The article says, but they waited and they waited about 500, somewhere between 500 grams and 1 kilo.
So, okay, I guess it's a news article, but I'm going to throw a couple of questions up because I haven't read this. Were there any fertility drugs used in this to make her more receptive, or did they like implant a heap of embryos like they used to, or any sort of details on that?
Um, I couldn't say, I couldn't find that in the article. But quite often it's the case that they use something to induce pregnancy. There's a little bit of
Yep.
fear, yeah. Fertility treatment often is a result of fertility treatment, but they do not know themselves if that would happen to this lady.
Well, I do remember pretty well back in the 70s, there was the nonotuplets, was the first time it happened to a Sydney lady. And none of, as you pointed out to me, none of them have survived, but they actually had a practice of implanting about 10 embryos because the hit rate was about 10%. And in her case, there was just something unique that where all of the kids stuck and then none of them actually survived, but it was a record. Any idea on how many times a human person's got 9? Did they mention it?
Allegedly, it happened 2 times before, but in
Right,
both cases, none of the babies made it through.
right. Okay. I tell you what, you'd have a hell of a nappy bill. I wonder if you get your daycare in bulk and your nappies. It'd be delivery trucks, wouldn't it? You'd need 3 carers, 3
Yes.
sort of midwives, or oh wow.
Well,
Okay.
about that topic, there were apparently between 100. No, not sorry. Were apparently like 10 doctors and 25 paramedics present at their birth. Not at the same time, I assume, but they probably did it sort of a medical tech team for the 9 babies, but 10 doctors and 25 paramedics. Can you freaking imagine?
No, I can't. When I had the pleasure of watching my kid being born, it's so funny because you always walk in and there's a chart on the end of the bed. So you pick it up like a doctor does because you see that on telly and you have to look like you know what's going on. But just being in, I'll deal with you shortly, Microraptor. How many kids? It scares me to think, but yes, plenty of us. No, just the one, fortunately. We've done our bit for the economy and the environment. What I was saying, though, is that I picked up the chart and sort of looked at it and put it back down. And then because of the equation between an hour being 60 minutes and the measurements of the hormone being in milliliter, they actually mucked it up and then did too much of the hormone. And I sort of noticed it and thought, no, it must be me. And I looked a bit later and thought, no, this math doesn't add up. And I said to the nurse, what's the story here? And she just, oh, look at it. Oh, okay, shrugged it off and just turned the thing around. I thought, wow, I'm glad she's not working in a, heart lung surgery or something. It was just real slack. And that midwife, fortunately, got knocked off. And we had another one who was beautiful. But when you have a good midwife at a pregnancy, it's always a good thing. But 35 people, oh my God, tag team match.
Yeah,
Paramedics. Oh, just the catering.
but I'm happy that I'm glad that you done the world a service to not procreate more than once. That's being a real trooper there.
Yeah, a big hello to Centrelink out there. I just might like to point out that's our Australian government welfare agency. Big hello to those boys. Yes, only the one child. Yeah, I can neither confirm nor deny the accuracy of that report. I could be mathematically challenged. But as far as I know, anyway, Microraptor, are you going to be giving cheek for the next 24 hours? Because, oh no, are you going to try and break us?
before we know it, maybe we might find out that Microraptor is secretly Boomer's child.
I thought we were going to leave that till we actually had her in here. Thanks, mate.
Okay.
It's okay.
Damn it! Ruined. I ruined the
Yeah,
surprise.
okay.
I ruined the surprise from
All right.
Microraptor.
If you
Ah.
just look at the script up the top, you're on page 3. Can you flick it back to? We're on page 1 still. Oh my God! Sleep deprivation kicked in already.
Yeah,
Right.
already. Oh
Okay.
yeah, we were doing an awareness free for neurofibromatosis. That's the case. Yeah.
Okay. Should we launch into that, or do we have some more news?
We might have some more news along the line, but I think we're good for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we have 24 hours. We have plenty of time to talk about the news.
Okay, then. So, should we head in the direction of neurofibromatosis? I got it right. Yes.
Yay!
I get a gold star for that. Gold star.
Yes.
Okay. Well, me not. Microraptor. Just remember, I have a pretty good memory because I've got a pen and paper and I'm not afraid to use them. She's rattled me now. I've forgotten where I was. Okay, I'm going to be asking the lay questions today. So you obviously have a much greater knowledge of neurofibromatosis. So what do you want to lead us in with? Should we do?
And there we go. Good luck from my mom. Say hello to my
Hey.
mom, everyone.
Hello, Mrs. Hudwin.
Yes. And, well, of course, maybe you should ask the most important question first.
Which would be, what is neurofibromatosis? Is that the most important?
Yes,
okay.
It is. And we're mostly going to focus on the most prominent one, prominent neurofibromatosis type, neurofibromatosis type 1, because there are actually 3 types. There is actually neurofibromatosis type 1, neurofibromatosis type 2, and schwannomatosis. I hope I pronounced that right. And yeah, it's a bit of a neurofibromatosis is a bit of an umbrella disease, and the difference is the kind of tumor and the location of the tumor is, and kind of what kind of symptoms they cause. But they are both diseases that cause tumors on different places of the body, and we're gonna have a small look at neurofibromatosis type 2, but schwannomatosis I couldn't really find anything about. But I guess we're gonna start with neurofibromatosis type 1. So I have a little video.
Hello,
Okay, and
in
I'll have
this
some
health
questions
sketch we
after
want
it.
to talk to you about neurofibromatosis. It's a bit hard to say, but the name makes sense. Neuro means the nerves in the body, while fibromas are the lumps that occur with the condition. There are different types of neurofibromatosis, and in this video, we'll be talking about the most common type, NF1, which approximately 1 in every 2,700 people are born with. It is caused by a change in your genes, which is either inherited from a parent or a new random change in the cells that create a baby. This genetic change causes lumps to grow on the nerves. A number of different criteria are used to help diagnose NF1, and genetic testing may also be used. The most noticeable signs appear on the skin, which might be present at birth or may develop in early childhood. Flat, light brown patches on the skin, called café au lait spots, or cals, because they are a similar color to milky coffee. They're often dismissed as just birthmarks. Freckles in unusual places, such as the armpits or groins. Lumps or bumps, either on or under the skin, which vary in size and number. Small lumps called cutaneous neurofibromas are generally harmless, and there may be few or many. Large lumps called plexiform neurofibromas tend to be few in number and are more likely to cause problems. Doctors can advise if removal or medication is possible. It's important to know that NF1 affects everyone differently. While some will have only mild symptoms, NF1 varies so much that others may have serious complications and additional related conditions. These might include learning difficulties, autism or ADHD, which will probably require more support in school. Problems with the joints and the bones, such as hypermobility, fractures, curving of the legs or spine, and changes to the shape of the chest wall. Problems with eyesight, if the nerve to the eye is affected. High blood pressure, which can be a sign of other complications. Epilepsy and other symptoms that relate to the nervous system. Disfigurement, which may or may not cause anxiety and impact on quality of life. In some cases, tumors such as brain and breast cancer. Because of this risk of complications, and because NF1 can change over time, it is important to report new or changing symptoms to your doctor so that problems can be picked up early. You should also have a routine checkup at least every year with someone who knows about the condition. Further tests may be required, such as an imaging test, and there may be treatments for specific problems, such as surgery. Depending on the symptoms experienced, a team of professionals might be involved in care, such as a pediatrician, geneticist, neurologist, dermatologist, eye specialist, bone specialist, oncologist, psychologist, and others. It is common to sometimes feel worried or upset about having NF1 or having a child with NF1, and you should discuss these feelings with your doctor. Online support groups are a good source of support, as you can connect to others who have had similar experiences. While there is no cure for NF1, and in some cases it can lead to serious complications and reduced life expectancy, with regular checkups and appropriate care, many people with NF1 can lead fulfilling lives. In this health sketch, we've talked about neurofibromatosis type 1, a genetic condition that causes lumps to grow in the nerves. We've talked about why it occurs, the main signs, the more serious problems to be aware of, and how it is managed. We hope this health sketch has been helpful to you and those around you. Health sketch, health for all to see.
And yeah, that's a little bit of an explanation into neurofibromatosis type 1, or NF1, that like we usually just say.
Okay, so the first one, if anyone's got any questions, just throw them up in the chat, we'll ask them. So feel free, guys. I guess no question is too dumb, is that right?
Yeah,
all right, one I've got for you. So they say it has an effect on the nervous system, so it's the nerve endings, but through cell multiplication, which is quite normal, that creates problems which then kind of feed back through the nervous system to create others. So I guess it's like a wiring problem, so to speak, where the actual effect creates a lot of knock-on symptoms. Have I kind of got that right, or am I need a little bit of an oversimplification?
It's probably a gross simplification, but for us people who have absolutely no medical knowledge, it's probably a pretty accurate one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Now, other things is when it's identified, I take it our health departments are quite aware of it. So does that allow you certain things, like if you do need a carer, is one provided reasonably easily, or is it still something where the amount of hoops to make you jump through, it becomes prohibitive and it becomes an issue within itself, which is a lot within the medical industry? Is that sort of a similar problem?
I think it greatly depends on the country where you live, because I know in my country that sort of thing is more decided on your symptoms rather than what kind of disease you have, and it doesn't matter why you need it. It doesn't matter what the reason is why you need a carer. If you need a carer, you can get a carer. You know, that's
okay. Now, of course, notwithstanding, we'll leave the good old US whole system out of it, because they are a power and a force unto their own. And Minimal Chaos Dragon, thank you. We know you're going to be in, so you can give us your account through the US system. But what I can say here, although not specifically NF or neurofibromatosis, hey, you got it again.
Yeah.
What I found is that our healthcare system does tend to err on the side of it gives a little too much, which I do like. A lot of people whinge about what it costs, but the thing is, healthy people don't cost more in the end because of the reduced hospitalisation. I do know for a fact that once these things are identified, you are generally assigned a case manager.
Thanks, Mom.
And hopefully they do follow through. The case managers in this are specifically trained within your disease, so they're a long-term issue. That's what I've found within Australia through my immediate circles of friends, and it wasn't specifically NF, it was other related stuff like a fibroid cyst a friend had on their womb. So in a sense, we do have good health back up here in Australia, and that's something I am quite proud of my country. That's the way we deal with refugees. I'm not too big on, but that is something that the Conservatives can't knock to pieces, because once you attack health, you're attacking the people themselves. So yeah, cool. All right.
No, of course I don't know exactly how it goes here, because I don't need a carer. I never needed one. So, but yeah, from what I know, it's more they more look at do you have something that requires help, and what causes that requirement is not really of any concern. And to answer Carl Edwards' question, yes, it definitely does cause pain. At least for a lot of people that I know. I can, and if I have to talk for myself, having neurofibromatosis, then yeah, absolutely. To a degree that it inhibits my fatigue, and it inhibits my walking, and that is one of the reasons why I have my my wonderful mobility scooter, because in part because of the chronic pain and the extra complications that come with pretty much always having chronic pain.
Now, when you say fatigue, is that what we do see around as chronic fatigue syndrome? Is it the same sort of thing where you're just cactus, you cannot get up and walk to the kitchen to make a cup of coffee, and you really,
No, it's
is
not
that the same sort of thing, or
it's not that bad in my case, but it's more that I always describe it. I work 25 hours instead of 40 hours. And to me, those 25 hours pretty much feel like 40 hours working would feel for you.
Okay, I grasp that.
I think that's the best explanation. But also, if I exert myself, of course, it gets worse. And then, yeah, of course, you know, your legs get heavier because it's, the fatigue is mostly in your legs. Like you ran like when I ride a bike to my work, which is like 10 minutes on my mobility scooter, it probably my legs probably would feel like that would feel like for you if you ran over there. You know, you're not used to running, so your legs are all soggy and heavy, and yeah.
So the mobility scooter, actually, you kind of get that. Is that subsidised by the government, the scooter you run?
Yeah.
Some of those Segways cost quite a bit of money.
Oh, they're absolutely super expensive. And here in the Netherlands, I'm so fortunate that I live here. They're pretty strict about it. They became even more strict than they were. But it has to be it has to be a necessity for you to get around. But if if the government agrees that you need it, and that kind of includes like, hey, can you still walk somewhat? Can you still walk to the bus stop and then get on the bus? That also sort of counts. But then I only pay like 70 euros a month, about 17, I have to say, sorry, 17, and that's all I pay, and that is including service costs and insurance, etc.
Can you hold it up?
Mm-hmm. If I can make it faster, no. I technically I could, of course, but if something happens to my scooter, and the mechanic says like, yeah, that happened because you screwed around with it, then I'm fucked.
Oh, damn. So we can't tinker with it and get some extra horses out of it.
No.
When I was actually in the motorcycle industry, we did have a few scooters that were, these were like a little standard 50cc scooter that was chopped up and modified into what was a trike. But the way it was, there was no government subsidies available, and they were a very expensive item to make. We actually... the people who bought them, they were customized, and they just needed so many engineering certificates and hoops to jump through. It was better just to go down the mobility scooter route. Otherwise, you'd end up 3 times the cost for not much of improvement. And the mobility can go on the path, whereas the scooter must go on the road. So it's like a car without a roof. So, yeah. Carl asked, is there medication for it? You want to take that one?
Yes, there is most definitely a different kind of pain medication that helps. All sorts of pain medication, and that is something you talk about with your doctor. I myself have made the choice to not take medication. At least no medical medication, because the medication that was offered to me didn't make me feel myself. That being said, that's a personal choice, and that is not a choice that I would recommend to anyone. But yeah, it really depends on what helps for you, because of course, because of a lot of that medication that helps is of course stuff that you don't just want to take just for the heck of it. And that is why what kind of medication do you get, it really depends on you and your doctor.
Also, the knock-on effect would be, because there's no specific symptoms to this, the symptoms are the knock-on effect. If it was to affect your liver, well, that would be different medication than, say, if it was to affect your lungs or just your arms and legs. So because of this ailment being so broad-based, the painkillers themselves aren't that broad-based. There's no one-size-fits-all for painkiller. So if you're getting, I guess, headaches from a tumour, that would be a paracetamol, but then that's not good for your liver anyway. So it's a little bit of a vicious circle with medication, isn't it?
And it is of course the severity. There's also so much different levels of severity in pain and etc. that you really. I have known people with NF who have absolutely they no problems. They work 40 hours without problems. They don't have pain. They have a few lumps here and there, but that can be annoying. But they're fine otherwise. So that happens all the time as well.
Yep. One of the things I noticed, and look, I'm in no way trying to compare my situation to NF, but just having back pain from a prolapsed disc, which was pushing into the sciatic, typical injury for a lot of mechanics or construction workers, anyone that mislifts up something, and that's only a lapse of concentration. When you get that herniation pushing out in your nerves, you can't do physio because it rubs against the nerves, which causes inflammation, which causes pain. So you either take an anti-inflammatory and persevere with the pain, or you take a painkiller which falsely masks it. Now, although my instance, it was a 13-month back injury, so again, I'm not trying to compare it to a lifetime thing. I actually just came to the conclusion I'd rather be grumpy on the back pain than the actual painkillers, because either way, you just end up in such a state, it irritates you, getting comfortable. You just get into a good position and you realize the remote for the TV's out of reach. It's kind of like you've really got to settle into it. And I mean, I only copped it for 18 months and I was almost a serial killer at the end of that. So,
Yeah.
pain in itself is one of those really tricky things. If you don't have it, if it's gone, you forget it, but
Yeah.
push through. It's really hard.
My mom
It's
said,
got-
my mom says, because she can understand us, but she can't write English, so she's writing in Dutch. But her medication worked really well. But
okay.
then I have to say that her medication are nothing to scoff at. She's taking pretty heavy shit too.
Now, I believe your mum is known to walk, well, what we would call beyond a bit of a normal
500
distance for
miles.
most. Can you elaborate on that? Surely she doesn't walk like for
but
5
she
or
doesn't.
6 hours on end, does she?
No. But her pain is not so much where it affects her walking. So it's more. I believe she has a lot in her arms, for example.
Yeah.
But
Okay. But I'm going to elaborate.
But yeah, she proved that you can live a pretty active life with NF. My mom is really awesome, and her summer vacation entails walking for like 15 kilometers to the German mountains for like 14 days in a row, with maybe one day of break. And that's her way of calming down from work. That's her idea of
the
vacation.
fresh mountain air.
The fresh mountain air.
Okay,
And,
but
I have lots of respect
what I've got to say,
for my old mom. Yeah.
well, I just got to say, dude, because you're not going to, but God, what a legend. Most of the people I know will maybe ride a motorcycle those distances or maybe drive a car. The thought of actually walking that distance kind of gobsmacks me. You are an amazing person, dead set. You are unbelievable and inspirational. You remind me of people who do the Kokoda rail, do the Kokoda track, who have got serious problems as well. Dude, you're inspirational. It's just amazing to know that you choose to do that. All of my friends just pick a motor vehicle and take the lazy way out. Awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Daybreaker's here too. How are you,
Hey,
folks?
Daybreaker. Yeah, you don't even do that, and you're only 4 whole years younger.
I've always been one to actually get out and about. Like I've been fit and active, but when I actually did go and get an X-ray about 5 years ago, the technician doing the X-ray said, "Oh, did you play sport when you were a teenager?" And I actually didn't play a lot of physical sport, but I did have 3 older brothers, and so I tended to run a lot. But you actually noticed it in your development. They can X-ray you, 40 years later, and actually say, as a kid, you ran around a lot. So I think you said it that way. But just doing a walking vacation, that's amazing. Here in Australia, it's in the newspaper when people do that sort of thing. Cheers.
So I'm gonna try to move on seamlessly without any weird transitions.
Not unlike my transition to senility. It has
Yeah.
been smooth and seamless, as you've all picked. And we get a
So,
week from Mrs.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a video about NF2. Honestly, I don't know a lot about NF2 because well, I don't have NF2 myself. But yeah, they deserve a recognition as well. So that is why I thought, you know what, let's quickly look at a short video about it.
NF2, or neurofibromatosis type 2, is a genetic condition that can be inherited, but for some folks, it is the first time that we are seeing it in the family. This condition leads to the development of multiple tumors on the covering of the brain, inside the brain and spinal cord, and also on the nerves that course through our body. Some patients with NF2 will simply have two tumors that primarily affect the balance nerves and can cause hearing loss. And it can go to the other end of the spectrum where patients have multiple tumors. Rather than just focusing on one tumor at a time, we're thinking of it as a more holistic approach to what is most important at any given time. I heavily rely on partnerships that I have with our audiologists and otologists, who are specialists who help me manage the balance nerve tumors and hearing difficulties that patients with NF2 may have.
As the otologist, neurotologist, I see NF2 patients for evaluation of hearing and balance disorders. I follow their hearing with audiograms or hearing tests every year, and we talk about hearing rehabilitation options, whether it's just to sit tight and go as we have been doing, or a hearing aid, or possibly even cochlear implantation if both ears start declining over time. I also help Dr. Asthagiri, the neurosurgeon, in the surgical management of patients with NF2. So I will help him with the surgical dissection of the tumor, trying our best to preserve the hearing and balance nerve so that we can preserve hearing and balance function.
About 2/3 of patients will have posterior capsular cataracts, so they can develop some eye problems in NF2. Those patients will then get referred to me for baseline, so we know what their vision is, whether there's any evidence of increased intracranial pressure, whether their cranial nerves are working normally, whether they have a seventh nerve dysfunction, so that we can see where they are now and we can follow them if they develop any other problems.
How my patients do is not just an outcome measure or some data table. How my patients do is very personal to me. If I could describe my relationship with patients with NF2, it's intimate. And I think that's mutual. Growing together and having this care be a partnership, I think really makes it much more fulfilling, number one. And number two, it makes it much more effective.
Yeah, what that doctor said there at the end, I can kind of remember that with my orthopedic surgeon or my orthopedic expert, who I had from when I was born till I was like in my mid-20s, early 20s.
Yep.
And you know, that doctor and that saw me every 6 months for the first 18 years of my life. And he actually did see me grow, and you know, it's a sort of a really weird relationship, because you only see the guy 6 months, 2 times a year, and then for maybe like half an hour or something like that. But it still becomes some sort of a it becomes weirdly personal.
Now, I'm going to throw up a little bit of lay stuff too, but also something I hope is good info. He mentioned that NF2, it appeared to be more brain neurological stuff, which I think is a different sort of cell format, cell structure. And this is basically the DNA being like a stepladder. It's what happens on the ends of the stepladder that creates the effect. Now, Flint, who just said, how's it going? We're good. Hope you're good too. Flint made me aware of this in Sarcastic Barman's card game as to having a tumor removed. And I've always thought it's a funny thing because we all get headaches from time to time. So for those of us who are not NF sufferers, a tumor is a possible thing as well due to, well, blood clotting. That's a famous one now with COVID stuff, but we get blood clotting for hormone replacement. But what other sort of things that trigger you into going to the doctor and saying, I feel I might be having a tumor, like more regular headaches, or are there other things? What do you
Yeah.
got on that, mate? Or
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Usually they detect NF when it's a spontaneous mutation. They detect it usually when people are still kids, and
right.
yeah, and with NF2 is of course it also affects the balance organs, so that's of course an indication. And with NF1 it's kind of similar in that case, is that for other reasons there are also balancing issues. And of course with tumors can grow, sometimes also grow on visible places, so that you suddenly see a tumor.
Yep.
Yeah, and in cases like me, where it's inherited, well then of course it's one of the, especially nowadays, it's one of the first things they check for if one of the parents has an inherited disease, because it's 50-50 chance when one of the parents has it.
Right. Now, just where you brought up the balance thing there, that's an interesting one, because the balance is three little circular tubes, one longitude, one latitude, and one at 45 degree, and it's a little bubble full of water, so it's like a little circly thing, and I believe it's the hairs in there, and that's a really intricate little piece. So I can imagine anything upsetting that would, well, for a start, it's your balance. But the standard thing of being seasick is actually your eyes being on a fixed object, being the inside of the boat, and your ears are picking up the rocking motion of the boat. And your brain is saying, hang on, I'm getting two sets of input here, and therefore you want to throw up because it instantly assumes you've got food poisoning or something. So that's the whole thing of being seasick, is to stop looking at the boat and look up at the horizon, apparent or actual horizon, depending on whether you're a flat earther. But it's getting double input to your brain can actually cause other knock-on effects. That makes it really tricky too. But the seasickness and ear one, balance is the common one.
Yeah, and Microraptor, what you said there, rings pretty true. Because before I got older and my symptoms got a little bit worse, and that is actually quite normal for people who will go through heavy hormone changes. That conditions get worse. It happens. But the doctors actually told me that when I was born, that I would probably never be able to walk properly and to ride a bike. And he was a little bit premature in that, as in that for the first 18 years of my life, I rode bikes. I was sort of able to run, and I even went on vacation in Austria with my parents, and we for 14 days, and we walked all day. We through the mountains in Austria, and I loved it. And that is kind of, yeah. The doctors never thought that I would be able to do that at all, and I was actually able to enjoy that for a part of my life.
One of those instances of the doctor being wrong, and you're happy for that. Unfortunately, they're right a few too many times, though. You got a couple of interesting ones in the chat. One from Daybreaker. What's the biggest downside for you, Arduin? So I'll ask it on his behalf. What is the biggest downside for you?
That's a very difficult one. I think it's their lack of energy. in combination with the learning disability, the learning difficulties and the lack of concentration, because I can deal with the pain, but the being tired so quickly, and I did that also is something that gotten worse over time. I actually was a ball of energy before, and also the learning difficulty, the concentration difficulty, that is so inhibiting, because I have mobility scooters, so I can supplement my walking difficulties with my mobility scooter, and the pain, it sucks. You have pain, but you have painkillers. You can numb the pain. That's all well and good. But like being tired really quickly to a degree where you just come home from work at 1 p.m. and you just have to rest for a couple of hours, or that you really want to learn this really interesting thing, and that you're not too dumb to get it, but you just don't have the attention span to sit down and learn something. That is what is really annoying, and there is no really a supplement for that. There are of course some teeny tiny things that you can do that can help make it less bad, but there is nothing to actually help with that. So that is, I think that those two are probably the most inhibiting things, or the biggest downsides, because that's because for the other things there are supplements.
Well, I must say it's actually something that I don't notice, because you actually bearing that in mind, you do an extra pristine job, because one of the things I've been exposed to is working with computers, which does require concentration. So in a sense, I suppose you do glaze over that one well. I would never have picked that just through working with you in this situation that we do. You actually, if anything, seem better than someone who. Yeah, so that's actually
that is
kudos to you for that.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. But that is because I have a real click with computers, right? That's that computers click with me. But I remember at school topography. I just couldn't. I when I really sat down for it and really cranked down, then of course I could learn it eventually, but I really had to sit down and really had to crunch to learn that sort of thing, and I found out it later in life that it had nothing to do with my intelligence, but purely that sort of thing just doesn't click with me. But if that sort of thing doesn't click with you as a kid, but it is part of your grade school course, you're fucked. So that is probably what inhibited me the most throughout my life too, at school and stuff like that.
Yeah. Though, it is interesting to bring that up, because sometimes inhibitions can, depending on what the medium they go through in, can actually work like Monet, the famous French painter, actually had cataracts. And he started painting everything with a lot of orange in it because he didn't realize he was mixing up the wrong colors. And when he did get it corrected, he was so appalled by a lot of his paintings, he destroyed them. Yet the bright orange ones with the autumn scenes all looked really good and were the best paintings. So despite his cataract growth, it actually made him a better painter. And I'm thinking there's a lot of situations like that where, because you get forced, like someone who can't see will naturally develop better hearing. And there's a guy who clicks. He's blind. He walks around by clicking and bouncing the sound off the object. So he works like a bat.
Yeah.
which is interesting how sometimes adversity can force you down a path you would never normally take, and thus a bit of self-discovery there too. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it can be have a positive outcome depending on your attitude.
Yes, absolutely. And to answer Flint's final question before we move on to the next video, what is the best thing that ever happened to me? I really have to think about that one. There are so many good things that happened in my life. I am blessed in that regard. But if I can be,
Can I not?
if I can be petty, if I can be really petty, then it's probably getting my IT diploma and hearing how the old principal of my of my grade school responded when she heard that I had a fucking IT diploma, despite her saying that for the last few years I didn't really belong at that primary grade school. I didn't really fit in anymore, but she did fought hard to keep me when I was collapsing and couldn't handle it anymore. She fought so hard to keep me, but when I finally left that primary grade school, she said, "You, for the last few years, he didn't really belong here anymore." And to hear how she responded, that I got my IT diploma and got a decent job in IT, that felt so good for me. It's a petty thing that to bring up as the best thing that happened to you, but it was kind of the best thing that happened to me.
Hang on though, I'm a little bit confused here because she said she did fight hard to keep you, or to kick you. It was to keep you.
No. She didn't say that. She did fought hard to keep me when I was at my wit's end. It was like, oh, we'll help you with this and we'll help you with that, and we can do this for you and that for you, and but when I finally left primary school, she said that I never really fitted, and never really belonged there anymore for the last few years.
Okay.
That's and and the poetic victory of her response, that like when she heard that I got my IT diploma, to me that was a poetic victory that I will probably take that with me until I die with a huge grin on my face.
Yeah, I think though to some extent everyone has been presented with that, the metaphoric, oh, you might as well try brain surgery when you want to be something. A lot of people, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know, rock star, president of whatever, of the US or something.
Until the moment I chose to do IT school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And quite honestly, I'm now sort of a crossmark in my professional life, where things are about to change, and I still don't really know what I want to do. It never changes.
But look, that in itself is a social construct that affects everyone, because at a time when you're a teenager, so what's the term, young, dumb and full of cum, you've got to make a decision that's going to affect the next 40 years of your life, all things going well. And to have to make that sort of decision with that little knowledge, it's quite a tricky thing. Man, but
did I make some bad choices?
Yes, but as that meme said, you are a product of every decision you've ever made, be it good or bad, and they've all made you what you are today. Please disregard this meme if you're in jail. So none of us are in jail, so that's always a good thing. We're making some decisions.
Maybe I'm in a jail where I get a lot of liberties. But maybe we should maybe we should talk about about possible cures by
Okay.
another doctor.
All right. Okay. Let's do it.
I'm Dr. Nanda Rajneesh. I practice GI oncosurgery and breast oncosurgery in Apollo Spectra and Narayan Hridaya hospitals. Neurofibroma is a tumor arising from the peripheral nerves in the body. Most often, neurofibroma is a genetic condition. So, it involves multiple neurofibromatosis, we call it. But if it is a single neurofibroma, which is very painful, it is very simple. You excise it, safeguarding the nerve that is attached to the neurofibroma. But if there are multiple neurofibromas sitting everywhere in the body, to tell you frankly, there is no treatment for it. Individuals or patients have to live with it. So, but if there is any neurofibroma in these multiple neurofibromatosis, which is painful, only that can be removed.
It was a short video. Yeah, so I don't know why that video, what happened to the video. I thought that the video was longer. But yeah, no, there are no direct cures, but there are, so in shortness, there are no direct cures, but there are definitely several treatments, but we kind of sort of talked about some of the treatments already.
That was a short video. Okay. I was going to ask you if your text is open, but it is. That one got me a little bit by surprise. I do have a question, though, for you. Is Daybreaker has just put in the chat a picture of two dots with a couple of eyes. Is that an owl by any chance, and therefore mean wiser, or am I misreading that? Can you see what he's put up?
I think it's eyes with eyebrows and like blink blink blink.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. I know the sideways smile, but that one's got me. I like the heart, Daybreaker. Look, maybe we should give a bit of a bigger oversight as to what this whole 24-hour thing is. What do you think? Is it a good time now with our audience to run across it? We've got links of the actual charity to donate to in different countries. We have the European, Netherlands, the UK, and the Oz ones. Now, if anyone has any questions, they can contact us through the DM in Discord. Obviously, if it's an Australian issue to that one, I'll field any of those. Netherlands for your good self, and Europe, I guess, and the US. I'm guessing you're going to field those, or both of us. Would that be right? But either way, it's a direct.
What we are decided on doing is that. Well, the description is basically the idea is basically in the description below, but we don't accept donations ourselves. What we do is we only want to ask of you that if you feel like it, that you can donate directly to the causes. And like Boomer said, yeah, there are several options for several countries. And if you like it, you can tweet it out with the hashtag #NF or the hashtag debunkers for NF. And I thought that might be a fun way to sort of collect donations, so to speak.
Yeah. And now, of course, an oversight, then that's the actual stuff to throw up. Across the next, I won't say the time, but across the next reasonably large time, we've got a few things coming up. Quite a few EIE people who have so kindly offered to donate their services, which is awesome of them all. Guys like Cheesy, Dick Dawson. We also have Sprinkles and Punchy doing a hot sauce challenge, which I'm personally going to be dropping money to see those two guys suffer. Irish Demon and TT Guy is going to be eating some sort of crap. I'm going to be throwing some money. I reckon I'll go good 50 for that. Also, what else is coming up? Just presidential poems with Amy Hogan. So a few other little ones. Microraptor will get an interrogation later. And we also have Roxy coming up I believe, reasonably soon. Something I'd like to say I've got up on offer, though, is an air guitar. This air guitar comes with an air case, and it's played by some guitarists such as Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, and David Gilmour have not played this air guitar. So I'm going to offer it up for the biggest donation. Whoever donates the most gets the air guitar. So I know it's humble of me. I will freight it to your place. I'll pay for all freight on the air guitar, and you don't need any previous experience to play air guitar. So anyone who would like to participate, you've just got to donate something. And I believe, Arden, when we have a procedure for making sure they're not going to scam this one-off item, because it is a one-off air guitar, a very rare. Oh my God, I can't believe this bullshit sticks in even my throat. Sorry. What other stuff are we doing, mate? I'm going to have to mute.
Yeah. Now, well, maybe while we're muting, maybe we should just go to the ad break.
Hey, good idea. All right,
Yeah.
I need a drink. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah. So that's the hashtags that I put there on the screen. I should have done it, but I before the stream, but I forgot. But so there's the text that you can put in that you can tweet out with maybe a screenshot of your donation. We would really appreciate it, and we see you after the break.
Well, stay for the ads if you can, because they're pretty entertaining. So if you're fortunate enough to have a drink bottle around, you can do the Anthony Riley, or if you've got an incontinence pad, you can just grovel in your own muck. But for those of you who might need a toilet break, this is kind of what the ad's for, but I don't know. I like ads myself.
Yeah.
So let's roll the tape, my friend.
Yes. And we see you after the break. Neurofibromatosis is a genetic disease that causes non-cancerous tumors to grow on different parts of the bodies. It can cause facial deformities, chronic pain, learning disabilities, and a lot more. And though symptom treatment is definitely available in some cases, there is no known cure for neurofibromatosis, and better medical research is needed to better define and develop the symptom treatments that are available. And that is where neurofibromatosis organizations are so important. Neurofibromatosis organizations do not only support medical research, they also provide information to doctors, to teachers, to people of different age groups like kids and adults. But they also organize patients meetups and patients activities, which is really important for the patients themselves, so that they can better understand themselves sometimes. So neurofibromatosis foundations are very important to help increase the quality of life of people with neurofibromatosis. You can find out more about the foundations and how to help in the description below.
And there's your beautiful baby.
Any day now.
Really? You're eating Doritos? He's eating Doritos on my ultrasound. Do you see what I have to do?
I know.
Give me that.
Well, thank you for watching those imported ads. The who that are totally in support of us. How are you doing, Boomer?
Well, I've got this question for you. If smoking weed causes short-term memory loss, what does smoking weed cause?
I don't know, I forgot.
Okay. All right. 23. More times for that one. Okay. Truth Nerds has brought up an interesting one. The heart is not anatomically correct. Agreed. It's something that fries my bacon too, Truth Nerds. I just want to, yep, it's not right. There's also rumours that it's inverted. It's actually a bum cheeks, but it got inverted on Valentine's Day or something. But who knows? I read it on the internet, so it must be right. And Daybreak has gone, oi, where is the Discord? Have we not sent him a invite to our Discord, our Bunker 33 Discord?
I have no idea. I thought that he was a member of our Bunker 33 Discord. But I guess that he is not a member of our Bunker 33 Discord.
No. If I remember rightly, we had this plot to insure him for a lot of money and then kill him and collect the money. So we thought, why bother having him on Discord? We were eliminating a suspect trail, but we didn't actually. I think we got someone better for that, didn't we? We got more money. So I think that was why we didn't. Should we put the link in the chat?
And
then have him
what I'll do is I'll add it to the description so that we don't have to give it to people a second time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we want to stalking it. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to having my first stalker. I've only ever been a stalker. I'm trying to be stalked by someone.
Yeah,
and it's very easy in this day and age too.
Yeah, but luckily for you, you're an expert.
Oh, look, I mean, seriously, mate, back in my day, stalking was hard work. You'd have to take your own little foldy chair and a blanket and your own binoculars, and you'd have to hide out in bushes and take your tissues and other things. It was hard work, but you actually acquired the skills. These computers make stalking so much easier. Almost boring. I think I need a new hobby.
Exactly.
So, after a wonderful ad break and a beautiful hour of informative stuff, what is our second hour going to pose for us? We believe Roxy could be making an appearance, or am I misreading our schedule?
I think that Roxy will be here in about 20 minutes.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. So I think that we should start with a video about living with neurofibromatosis. And
okay.
Yeah, I might want to give a little bit of a warning with this one, because this one can be a little bit confronting, but it's also really great and really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody sees you at the grocery store, at the restaurant, what do you want them to do?
Pay my bill. In a perfect world. I mean, yeah, sure, come up, have a chat with me, equalities, disabled people are just like all of you, yada, yada, yada. Pay my bar tab. Don't just tell me you're okay with disabled people. Prove it. I was just like such a drunk. Just chat to me like you chat to anyone else. Don't patronize the RC. kind of, oh, how you doing, buddy?
Hey everyone, welcome to SBS Pen, the YouTube channel where you'll meet friends who live with many different conditions.
I had to be the witness to that with friends where people friends in a wheelchair that have been addressed like that. It's really awkward to witness.
It's misinformation, being misinformed by the person who's trying to be nice. They don't realise what they're doing is, they're just, I don't know, not used to that situation and don't really have the, I suppose you call it social etiquette.
Yeah, just move along. Just if you don't know us and you see us at the bar, just like you do with all other people you see at a bar, just move along.
Yep. Well, as a barman, I can tell you my tactics were pretty much talk about their football team. That seems to be a common thing in hotels. Just make it a normal convo. I didn't even realize I was consciously doing it. I'd never realized that situation because being a barman, you got to cope with everyone.
Yeah.
While watching these videos, you'll notice one thing. Although humans are incredibly diverse, we all have so much in common. So without further hesitation, let's meet today's friend.
Any questions, just ask them. Let's not all sit there and stare and try and play kind of house MD in our heads here. I reckon I know more about my condition than you probably can figure out in that brief 5 seconds. So let's talk about it. It's okay to talk.
Is it okay if I'm blunt with my questions?
I love blunt questions because they're the best kind of questions because they're truly honest. Like, children ask blunt questions because they don't have that filter yet where they can be overly PC and irritating. I love the blunt questions because they're the most honest ones. I don't like it. I don't like the PC questions.
How would you describe a PC question?
Like, we go, what happened to your hair? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I didn't have the PC questions, but I have had questions from children like why are you in a scooter? And I love it because it's something that the adults kind of want to ask you. It's not that and the kids just go up to you and then just ask, and I think it's kind of amazing.
In a sense, kids have an unadulterated line of thinking, though, too. Like that famous quote, "Learn from your children." Yeah, they just don't have any filters, and for better, for worse, I guess.
Yeah.
beard, coat. You can say face. I know about it. It's been pointed out to me before.
Why do you look the way you look?
Yeah.
Mirrors.
So I have a condition called type 1 neurofibromatosis, which causes excess body tissue to grow on nerve endings. Well, I think when you're confronted by something you don't normally see every day, there's this natural kind of flight or fight response, which to a degree I get. To a certain degree, anxiety is hardwired into us. Prejudice, that's a whole other thing. So if you can alleviate the anxiety before it gets to the prejudice, you can normalize what some people may see as a very uncomfortable situation. I started learning card tricks because a lot of my friends are older with kids, and when kids first meet me, I'm mildly intimidating for some unknown reason.
Hey, oh, the sound is gone. Why is the sound
Yeah.
gone from that video?
Yeah.
I think that the download is busted.
If somebody sees you at the...
I think, yeah, okay.
Oh, dear.
No problem. I have a contingency plan for that. Bear with me for a moment, people.
That's not a problem. I will just put in some filler. I'll look at my blank page and discover that my blank page is not a good place to look for filler. Oh dear. Coming up, look, into the chat comes one of the victims. We have Punchy, and he is going to be eating some hot sauce in quite a few hours from now, so I hope you're ready. Do you have the hot sauce and the chicken wings ready? Because, mate, I'm going to be paying money. Also, my air guitar is up, Punchy. You'll like this. I've got an air guitar that comes with an air case, and it's not being played by Jimi Hendrix, David Gilmour, and Jimmy Page. And this is your one chance to get the highest donation, gets to keep my air guitar, which comes with a case and has not been played by some of the most legendary guitarists through history. So that's something to look forward to. Very near and dear to me, but air guitar doesn't need much experience. And how are you going there, Mr.
Almost done.
Well,
I'm almost there. Yeah.
The cringe meter is not getting too high, so we're doing pretty well. We could really say bit of the stream, but it's only gone for an hour. So, hot sauce and beer Punchy.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah, Punchy. I think the best thing of this guitar is the fact that David Gilmour has not played it. I am just so honoured to have an air guitar that hasn't been played by him. And Jimmy Page, of course, you know.
Yes.
So some of them are dead. So, are we back on track, my friend?
We are back on track. At least we should. Let's
Yay.
see. Let's see if we can hear this.
Uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, we even hear a an echo. At least I hear an echo.
Oh, okay. At least an uncomfortable situation.
Because a lot of my friends are older with kids, and when kids first meet me, I'm mildly intimidating for some unknown reason. But if you do one card trick, you're instantly cool for the rest of your life. But what I didn't realise is I'd have to learn other card tricks eventually, because one just wouldn't be enough. And so I now have like a dozen semi-decent card tricks.
What's the first reaction of a child when they meet you?
They are normally rather intimidated for some unknown reason. I can't figure out why. So in that moment, you've got roughly 7 seconds to engage them properly, or it's going to be a lot tricky. You can still do it. Like, you can still like pull a card trick out of nowhere, and then instantly be cool for the rest of your life, which is a much bigger responsibility than I thought it was.
If you had to share one thing with the world, what would you?
That is so cool. That is so funny to me. That, you know, like, oh, I do this thing, and the kids might think I'm cool, and now all the kids are like, oh, you're cool. Do another trick. And I'm like, fuck.
Or what could be worse is a kid types up and says, "You've just done that trick by doing blah, blah, blah. I just Googled it." Then you want to kill said kid. But then we all want to kill said kids at various times. So most of the time we don't do it.
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah, exactly. And that's yeah. Let's quickly continue. So I can do some communications on the background.
You say.
I probably go with it. It's okay not to be okay. I think we are all chasing this serial packet idea of perfection. We want to look perfect, be perfect, have the perfect life. Like, point one, if everyone has that, it stops being perfect and just becomes the norm. And it's those little imperfections, those little idiosyncrasies that the world more than likely loves about you.
Often I read comments from trolls who say, if I was disabled, I would want to be put down.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I'd say fuck you.
Say to that?
Oh, I can put you down now if you want. Like, you don't have to be disabled to be put down. Just, I'm available. Just to, no, I think that's a real kind of dick thing to say. And if you put any other minority's name in there instead of disabled, you realise how heinous it is. You wouldn't say if I were black, I'd want to be put down. If I were gay, I want to be put down. But disability seems to be the one thing you can scapegoat and say that kind of thing. And here's the big secret: a lot of disabled people are perfectly happy.
Have you faced discrimination in your life?
Absolutely. I think everyone faces discrimination to a certain degree. Everyone is prejudiced against different things. But I think particularly facial disfigurement and disability, are two of the last great bastions that we need to start talking about and engaging with and dealing with. But ultimately, if someone or a company or an employer or whoever is going to discriminate against me based on how I look, do I really need them in my life to begin with?
Yeah, and that counts. That counts just as well for when you have like a physical disability or anything. Do you really need people in your life who are like, yeah, but you have a disability, so I don't know about you working here, but I kind of have to because of some government rule? No, just fuck you.
Well, what you're saying, look, yeah, I with that sort of brought up there, I've seen that as well. The dick thing to do, I'd rather be put down and that sort of shit. That sort of person, they're doing themselves a disservice. And it's actually a method of vetting out dickheads. Like, you don't need that person in your life anyway, so they've revealed what they are. In a sense, they've short-circuited the process of knowing they're not worth it. But do you know, before this topic you brought up of what questions to ask in BPC, not being a dick like that is what generates the other emotion. People tend to err on the side of caution. They might want to ask you something, but don't know how to go about doing it. And so it's a bit of a tightrope to walk from someone who's not educated in that area. If I think I got that across.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we got about the best part of that video.
Yep.
So what we're gonna do is we quickly go to a break, and then we're gonna let Roxy in here and Christmas, and
cool.
Then we're gonna have sort of an exchange of I lost the word, experiences.
Cool.
With someone who has an F as well. So I'm gonna jump to a break. I'm gonna send the link to my good friend Mr. Christmer, and we're gonna quickly see you in a little bit. Let me quickly handle.
Welcome aboard, guys.
Yes. And break 2. Neurofibromatosis is a genetic disease that causes non-cancerous tumors to grow on different parts of the bodies. It can cause facial deformities, chronic pain, learning disabilities, and a lot more. And though symptom treatment is definitely available in some cases, there is no known cure for neurofibromatosis, and better medical research is needed to better define and develop the symptom treatments that are available. And that is where neurofibromatosis organizations are so important. Neurofibromatosis organizations do not only support medical research, they also provide information to doctors, to teachers, to people of different age groups like kids and adults. But they also organize patients meetups and patients activities, which is really important for the patients themselves, so that they can better understand themselves sometimes. So neurofibromatosis foundations are very important to help increase the quality of life of people with neurofibromatosis. You can find out more about the foundations and how to help in the description below.
Explain the bottle again.
Well, I fill it with authentic Guinness draft.
Brilliant!
Then we walk outside.
Yes.
Bring it to a party.
Yes.
And then we drink it.
Drink beer at a party? Brilliant! What else you working on?
Remember how I used to open the bottle?
Yes.
Well, I've devised a gadget that does it for you.
Brilliant!
Brilliant!
Guinness draft straight from the bottle. Enjoy it everywhere.
Brilliant!
Das hier ist mein Sektor. Das hier ist das wichtigste Gerät des Küstenwächters. Das Gerät und das Gerät. Überlebensradar.
Mayday, Mayday. Hello, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you... Over. We are sinking. We are sinking.
Hello? This is the German Coast Guard.
We are sinking. We're sinking.
What are you thinking about?
Neurofibromatosis is a genetic disease that causes non-cancerous tumors to grow on different parts of the bodies. It can cause facial deformities, chronic pain, learning disabilities, and a lot more. And though symptom treatment is definitely available in some cases, there is no known cure for neurofibromatosis, and better medical research is needed to better define and develop the symptom treatments that are available. And that is where neurofibromatosis organizations are so important. Neurofibromatosis organizations do not only support medical research, they also provide information to doctors. And we're back. We're back. So that took a little bit longer than it usually would have taken. We are, yeah. We are.
Sorry, she was standing up the whole time. She needed a chair, so I had to mute because this room is highly acoustic.
I know the feeling.
That is absolutely,
like
that's
that,
absolutely
that
fine.
sound you just heard, that was her.
In fact, I've got a feeling we're back on because we have.
Yeah.
That was her quietly
we
putting her
appear to
phone
be back
down.
on the stream. So, yes, we are.
And we have an Amy in the chat.
So for those people out there, we appear to be back, but I'm not hearing Arduin.
Oh.
Can we hear Arduin?
You can't hear
We've
me?
now got some extra people in. Well, Charisma, how's your day been so far? You've got up and it's probably only just started. So.
I am sorry. I think I accidentally muted myself. It was probably the cat that touched the keyboard. Always blame the cat.
Aha.
All
right. So you're back on deck now. Very good.
Yeah.
We had some
Everyone on the stream could hear me talk to you guys, but you guys couldn't hear me.
It's probably a good thing. Hey, we've got Amy.
We got an Amy in the chat. Yes, Amy.
We're blowing in now.
Amy.
She's trying to spill in quietly, and everyone yells out her name. It's like getting lit up by the spotlight by a stand-up. You don't want the attention. Hey, Amy, we love you. All right, Ards, would you like to do the intro of our new guest?
Yes. Of course, we have the man, the myth, the legend that everyone knows. Here, it's Mr. Christmer. How are you doing, Mr. Christmer?
Seeing as I just woke up around 20 minutes ago, I'm surprisingly lucid.
Thank you, Chrissy.
That's what coffee's for.
That's what I'm doing right now, actually.
And who's your friend over there? Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is Roxy.
Hi.
Welcome,
Hello, Roxy.
Roxy.
I'm Uncle Boomer. I'm Uncle Boomer.
Maybe you can quickly introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, everybody. My name is Roxy, and I have NF1, and my sons both have NF1 as well.
Okay. Interesting. And well, maybe let's just nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, of course. Maybe let's start with. Can you maybe tell a little bit of the symptoms that you have with NF1?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. So, my story is kind of interesting because I didn't get diagnosed with NF until I was later on in life, about 7 years ago, when I gave birth to my first son. I was adopted, and after reaching out to my birth mother, I finally found out what was going on with me, because the doctors in the area where I grew up had no idea. I had seizures. I have the fibromas primarily on my back, head, and other areas. And nobody really understood what was going on with me until I finally met my birth mother. And she told me that she had an F1, and I went ahead and got tested and found out that I had it. And then my sons, I both had them both tested, and they both came up positive as well. My younger son has papilledema in the eyes, which is excess pressure in the eyes, which is causing them to slowly go blind. So that's something that we're currently dealing with. And lots of MRIs finding internal tumors. My son Zane has tumors in his head, which is causing extreme migraines and him to slowly go blind. Myself, I've never really talked about it, so I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's if there are things you don't want to talk about, it's also completely fine.
Okay, no, it's not a problem at all. For myself, epilepsy, seizures, I have fibromas throughout my body. I actually have them wrapped around my spinal cord, which causes me quite a bit of pain. And I get fatigued quite easily. I can't walk for periods of time without getting exhausted, and I just have to lay down. Headaches quite often. Those kind of things are what I deal with daily.
Yeah, it's interesting because I hear some of the problems that you're suffering from. That sounds very familiar to me. And yeah, I do remember, because I every time I do see an eye doctor, they come with the little pump to test the pressure in my eyes, but I'm always lucky in that regard. But yeah, some sound like school must have been a bit of a challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was funny because when I was diagnosed, one of the first questions that the doctor asked me, the neurologist, was how did I do in school, and specifically how did I do in math? And I sucked in math at school. I thought I was just stupid. I would go daily before school and study with the teacher, trying to understand, and I just couldn't get it. And I found out that that's actually one thing about NF1 is that, difficulty in school, but specifically in math and sciences.
Which, interestingly enough, that's where I had my highest grades. But yeah, that's the thing with NF. There's some of them are indications and symptoms that are made because, like, 95% conform to those symptoms, and or a lot of them conform to those symptoms. And yeah, it's
yeah, no, even today's math is very hard for me.
Yeah, just if I can jump in with a question there, Roxy.
please.
You mentioned you have effects on the spinal column and that. So I'm guessing that's like sciatica times 100 now. What sort of things, like, do you have to go and do hydrotherapy in a pool, or and I know just moving becomes difficult. So how do you actually get around with staying fit without avoiding pain? That must be a real balancing act. And what are your strategies and tactics to deal with that? Thanks.
Thank you for that. It actually is very hard. Mostly I end up walking, and just going for a daily walk really helps me. But even that, like going for the walk, there are some days where like the pain is just so bad that I can't even imagine going on a walk. And sometimes it's very, very hard. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like to take a lot of pain medication, but I found that marijuana actually helps me quite a bit.
Whoa, weird. Oh, there's an interesting lead in. What you were saying there was quite interesting, insofar as I understand, with having a smoke as well. A lot of people will try to move into a different climate so you can get into the pool therapy or whatever. I also had the same thing, and I only had a minor sciatic problem for 18 months compared to yourself. And I did find it was a choice of either anti-inflammatories or painkillers. It was be grumpy with one or the other. So I chose to be grumpy without the painkillers because of the knock-on effects there. And it sounds like you also found a very similar thing, having a smoke of a joint. Although it doesn't alleviate it, it makes it, I don't know, a bit more tolerable. I don't know what the right word is there, but do you find that too?
I do. It kind of makes it easier to move. It makes me forget about my pain and makes me want to be active instead of just lying there and obsessing about the fact that I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
And now generally, and this is a modern era question, with the advent of the internet and social media being the amazing thing where I can be speaking to someone in the Netherlands, two people in America, and watch a volcano erupt, do you think it's been beneficial to have this wonderful information superhighway for people to get their information, their stories out? Has it worked well for you?
Absolutely. I feel like it's been amazing to be able to talk to other people. I'm in groups on Facebook, for example, where I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one that's experiencing this. And it's really nice to have that confirmation that it's not just me.
Yep. And the condition itself would be isolating as well. So to actually have this a way to not be isolated through your laptop or your telephone, it really is a godsend. We kind of have grown up in the right era, haven't we? Wouldn't like to be like this 100 years ago or so.
Yeah, that last point, what you're, and that last point, what you brought up there, that is a really good thing that I think that neurofibromatosis foundations do. More information in the description below. But what they do, for example, aside from financing medical research and providing information to doctors and teachers and kids, they also organize patient meetups and patient activities where people with NF can meet each other and talk to each other, and yeah, the foundations also the foundations also provide a very good, at least here in the Netherlands, a really very good way of checking the boxes, because that's what it did for me. I went to a couple of patient meetups and even went on a weekend of camp with some of with a youth group with people with NF, and for me it checked a few boxes. even though I have a mom and uncles that have NF as well, meeting people of my own age with NF was really something special. Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
And it's
I know one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know one thing that my sister, who also had NF, was able to find a doctor who was doing a study on fertility with NF, and they took her eggs and tested them for NF1 and other things, but they were able to isolate specific eggs that would not have the NF gene, and through that she was able to give birth to a child that was free of NF.
That is awesome. 2021, we're living in the future, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, yeah, because I have 2 genetic diseases, so to me that sounds like wow, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I have several myself, none that even come close to what that is, but I think we all have some sort of genetic disease, something wrong with us.
Oh yeah, but yeah, yeah. But that is why we're here, to raise some awareness and to maybe help out the different foundations a little bit. I've struggled to ask questions, to be honest, Boomer. I don't know if you have a couple or more.
No, not really on that one. I'm more just about Roxy's personal experiences. Something I can say on the positive side is that even when I was just catching trains around as a teenager, there was very limited access for anyone with scooters and so forth. And even doorways in buildings were thinner than a wheelchair. Now, building code has changed significantly over the last 25 years or so, where the minimum width for a door must be, I think it's 1100 mil now and whatever. So slowly but surely we are coping, but it has been something more swept under the rug and, I don't know, fell into the too hard bin. And it's sort of really good now that, well, what we're hopefully doing tonight is one of those little teeny chips against the rock that helps knock the whole wall down. The problem with this is because the symptoms are so broad-based, it's hard for people to actually identify because, as you know, it's an effect on DNA, which can be any sort of a whole myriad of different symptoms. And this is what makes it a tricky one. It's not clearly identified, like, say, breast cancer or something where everyone knows someone who's had it or may know someone. And this is why it's such a one. It's a very vague sort of a cause. And so that's really what I'm to add. I don't really have any more questions. I have a bit of squeeze over my sheet, though.
Yeah, no, but it's gotten so much better because from what I've been told, from what I've been remembered being told, is that even though my mom at the time knew she had what was then still called the from Recklinghausen disease, it is that when the doctors saw symptoms with me, the doctors had to ask my mom, "Oh, have you maybe ever heard of from Recklinghausen's disease?" And my mom was like, "Yeah, I have that." it went to that that they now just they can actually find out, and they can actually draw your blood and look at your genes and see exactly in your genes that you have NF.
Yes, I found that interesting when my sister went through that. I was like, they can actually do that? It's really cool. Whereas
actually
both of my kids, I'm the quintessential 50-50. My older kid does not have NF1, but my younger one does.
Yeah.
Is that detection an after you're born thing, or can that be done before birth? Because they do a blood sample, I think, when you're still forming in the womb. Is that after or before?
Since it's like it is somewhere in your genome, I assume that they could do it when you're still in the womb. But you know, I wouldn't.
Yeah, with my sister, they were able to check the eggs.
Yeah.
So
they can even check the eggs. So if they can check the eggs, they can probably also draw blood, and sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they know the exact genome. Which it is. They even called those genomes the NF1 and the NF2 genome.
Right.
I've even found a picture of it. I can quickly bring it up. It's it says probably says nothing to all of us, but maybe there is a medical expert here that says like, "Oh, this makes sense to me."
Aha. Well, actually, it looks like the little creatures in the primordial soup I've seen on documentaries at the beginning of life, down in the oceans or whatever.
Yeah.
Those two little cells combining and saying, "Hey, was that good for you?" Exchanging DNA.
Yeah.
Exchanging DNA can be fun, depending on what you are. So, okay, so that's the technical side for us.
Yeah.
A lot of these too, like we look at us as people have developed astronomically over a short space of time on an evolutionary scale. Since we evolved an external stomach called a frying pan and basically could cook and eat anything, we've advanced at a very fast rate. And in a sense, natural selection processes in most other animals were slower. So the fact that we learned how to cook has created, that's why we're all so different, whereas tigers are all striped in certain ways. And yeah, mind you, it's pretty awesome being a human, but it does come with its disadvantages as well. Our diversity can sometimes be our downfall.
Look, there's the gay gene, apparently.
But there's the Alexi chemicals that make frogs gay. We've got to be careful of that one.
Yeah, the adrenochrome.
Alexi Jones. What would we do without shock jocks?
One flipper called it adrenochrome, and I'm like, what? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere we missed the evolutionary step where we had awesome claws or anything or wings.
Yeah.
I want wings.
I want wings.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. You know? Just being like, you know what? I am going on vacation to Germany, and I'm just gonna fly.
Just fly there. Yeah. I have a feeling airplanes will be different in that world.
Imagine if you were given a form when you were conceived, like tick the boxes as to what cool things you want. Like you're rolling up a character in D&D.
Yeah.
You sit there and tick wings and fire breath, and that'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? Oh, damn. We'll have to evolve that need, I think. A checklist, a pre-built checklist. I personally would go wings. Yeah, Dragon-esque, I'd say. That'd be the fun games.
I go wings of the horn. No, I'd already have a horn.
Yes. Just speaking digressing slightly on D.
It would be great that if you die and you're reborn in a different world, that you get to select what kind of character you want to be in your.
Now we're talking isekai stuff now.
No, I was talking Dungeons and Dragons, which, as a matter of interest, I'd like to just digress a fraction and say that I've joined a Dungeons and Dragons group called the Dyslexic Knights Who Say In. And it sounds like a bit of fun. I don't know what I've got myself in for. Anyway, back to the topic.
Yeah.
Well, we do have Glovers and Goblins that does